Wash the entire part, inside and out, with soap and water to remove any water-soluble contaminants like dirt or salt. Only use soap and cleaners that are intended for automotive plastics. Rinse the part with clean water to remove any soap. Blow any remaining water from the part with compressed air. Repair any damage on the part before applying coatings. Align the split. Heat will need to be applied to aid in the alignment process. Warm the area with a heat gun and use the push tool to align the plastic. Secure the split. Use the aluminum weld support tape to ensure the split stays properly aligned during the repair process. Use firm pressure to apply the weld support tape to the outside of the part. Channel the split. Use a die grinder to trace the split. Channel through about half the depth of the plastic. Fuse weld the split. Use a plastic welder and the easy weld strips to fuse weld the split together. Hold the welding rod at 90 degrees to the part. Direct the heat from the welder at a 45-degree angle evenly between the part and the welding rod. Apply downward pressure on the rod as you apply heat to the weld junction to ensure a proper fusion. Cool the weld with compressed air. Apply weld support tape to the inside of the weld to prevent it from sinking down while welding the front. Use a die grinder to trace the split. Channel through about half the depth of the plastic. Fuse weld the split. Use a plastic welder and the easy weld strips to fuse weld the split together. Hold the welding rod at 90 degrees to the part. Direct the heat from the welder at a 45-degree angle evenly between the part and the welding rod. Apply downward pressure on the rod as you apply heat to the weld junction to ensure a proper fusion. Depending on the shape of the split, multiple short welds may be required to follow the path of the channel. Cool the weld with compressed air. Knock down the bulk of the weld with a disc grinder to prepare for filing. Use the file to level the repair area. The file will only cut in one direction, the direction the teeth of the file are pointing. Use long linear strokes to knock down the weld and to ensure the surface of the bumper is even and flat. Sand out all of the file marks with 180 grit on a sander. Be careful not to damage or distort any of the style lines during the sanding process. Sand out all of the 180 grit marks with 220 grit on a sander. As you progress in sandpaper grit, the sanded area of the repair will become larger with each step in sandpaper grit. Minor imperfections like pinholes or scratches can be corrected with plastic bond. Apply a small amount of plastic bond to the imperfection, wait 3 seconds, then sand with sandpaper. The plastic dust generated by sanding will mix with the plastic bond and fill the imperfection. Sand out all of the 220 grit marks with 320 grit on a sander. Use the disc grinder to knock down the inside weld. The goal is to only remove as much of the weld as is necessary for the proper fitment of the bumper. Finish the inside of the repair by sanding with 180 grit on a mini sander. Inspect the repair for quality. Repair any damage on the part before applying coatings. In this case, there are scratches that can be sanded out with 400 grit sandpaper on a 6-inch sander. Prepare the part for coatings by sanding with 400 grit or using a maroon scuff pad. The goal is to abrade the entire surface of the part that will receive any type of coating. It is not necessary to remove all the existing texture from the part prior to coating application. Use a maroon scuff pad to abrade the tight areas that are difficult to access with a sander or sandpaper. Clean the part with an approved plastic cleaner. Spray the cleaner onto the part and wipe with a clean towel. Wipe in one direction, always using a clean part of the towel to avoid reapplying contaminants to the part. Use a tack rag to remove any dust or lint left over from the cleaning process. Gently glide the rag across the surface of the part. Too much pressure on the rag can leave a residue on the part that may affect the appearance of the top coatings. Apply adhesion promoter. Shake the can for 1 minute prior to application. Apply 1 medium wet coat of adhesion promoter to the part. Allow 5 minutes of flash time before top coating. If the top coat time exceeds 24 hours, scuff, clean, and reapply. Remove the lid from the can and stir with a paint stick until the primer is mixed thoroughly. Pour the desired amount of plastic primer into a paint cup for application. The plastic primer is ready to spray right out of the can. Do not reduce the primer. Use a spray gun equipped with a 1.4 spray tip and an inlet pressure of 28 to 30 psi. Apply 2 medium wet coats at a distance of 8 to 12 inches or 20 to 30 centimeters from a part. Allow 5 to 10 minutes of flash time between coats. Plastic primer is ready for top coating when it changes from a shiny to a matte finish. The primer will air dry in 30 to 60 minutes, or it can be baked at 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes. Imperfections like dirt, runs, or furry spots can occur during the primer application process. These can be corrected after the primer has dried. Most imperfections can be corrected with 600 grit or finer sandpaper, or with a maroon scuff pad. Abrade the rest of the part with 600 grit or finer sandpaper, or a maroon scuff pad to prepare for top coats. Blow any dust from the part with compressed air. Clean the part with an approved plastic cleaner and a clean towel. Tack the part with a tack rag to prepare for top coatings. If you have broken through the primer to the bare plastic during sanding or scuffing, primer should be reapplied. Remove the lid from the can and stir with a paint stick until the texture product is mixed thoroughly. The texture product is mixed with a 7-to-1 ratio. 7 parts texture and 1 part activator. Mix thoroughly. The texture product can be tinted with white texture tint to achieve varying shades of gray. Add the white texture tint to the black texture product. The tint will need to be added before the activator. the ratio being 7 parts of texture and texture tint mixed to 1 part activator. Mix the tinted texture and activator thoroughly. A spray-out card is recommended to ensure an accurate color match before applying the tinted texture product to the part. Use a spray gun equipped with a 1.4 spray tip and an inlet pressure of 5 to 15 psi to apply the texture product. Pressure and distance from the part will directly affect the grain of the texture. For a light texture, set the inlet pressure to 15 psi and spray at a distance of 12 to 15 inches or 30 to 40 centimeters from a part. For a heavy texture, set the inlet pressure to 5 psi and spray at a distance of 6 to 8 inches or 15 to 20 centimeters from the part. Apply a minimum of 2 light coats. Do not apply the texture product in wet coats. Over-application will result in a glossy appearance. Allow 5 to 10 minutes for the texture product to flash in between coats. A final drop coat can be applied if necessary. A drop coat can help to correct glossiness or to adjust the texture grain. To apply a drop coat, lightly dust the texture on from an increased distance. The texture product will air dry in 4 hours or can be baked at 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. If the product remains shiny or there are any imperfections, scuff with a maroon scuff pad and reapply texture.